Welcome back from the working groups. Hello again in the plenary. I hope you had productive sessions in the working groups. It seems a bit like it because you all managed to come back with a filled flip chart, which is great. And I want to ask from each group first to have a very short presentation of your findings. So shall we start with group 1? Please.
Hello. The group was talking about problems that NGOs had, and we started with the things we do, but we also talked about the joint problems we have as workers or co-workers of NGOs. And one of the problems is that most of the NGOs is, we know the small ones are women-based, that they do a lot of work that is supposed to be done by the state, but it's not supported financially by the state. Also, work in projects is unstable work. And we also asked ourselves a question if we are unionized. And of course, we are not, or maybe not of course, but that's also a big problem. But the reason for that is that small companies, for example, in it's different numbers in different countries, but for example, in Poland, it has to be 9 people to work in a company. So that's one of the joint interests for us to lower the number of members of the company or NGO. That is the lowest number that is minimum for the co-organization in trade unions. We talked about the financial problems of the organizations, not like they don't, especially about the cash flow problem that we have to wait for money and do some investments that are our private investments to wait for money. That was especially a problem in Romania. And problem with facilities like office space, and also our joint interest would be to have some part of the tax. The best would be like 5% of the tax for NGOs, and it would also be shared with all the NGOs, not only the big ones. And also we talked about the joint interest of microfunding for the small organizations, that would be without such a big bureaucracy and such a big employees effort, and could do some small projects. And we would also find a joint interest in government support for our NGOs in form of office space, for example, and also in form of this solution that Romanian organization had, but they don't have it anymore, which is tax delay. So the workers can pay their tax later. Those who are employed in the non-governmental organizations, so they can pay the tax when the money from the institution that is involved in the project will actually come, not before. We had also talked about the problems we have with the issues we work with, and one of this is the lack of empathy and that it's really hard to make people aware of the global problems, and we've talked also a little bit about the solutions with the consumers and also with trade unions, how to talk to trade unions and have some ideas for the trade unions to be more to arise more solidarity with global South and so on. Okay, so the possible cooperation for us would be common projects on global education, common projects, exchange also of common problems, what we did, but on a regular basis or a longer time, and also exchange of good practice. Our practice, also our state's good practice, that it's not existing in the other states, so it might be implemented. And also, if the European Union laws could change, we could, I don't know, support the change in the European law for this minimum employees for trade unions. So it would be a same level on the European Union, like 4 or 5 people, not 9. And we would think that possible cooperation needs more international meetings, like, for example, 1 a year.
Okay, more international meetings. Thank you very much, Tamara, for these insights from the NGO group. I heard a lot of interesting things, but as we are in a trade union seminar, I think the most interesting message is basically that they want to get unionized, which is good to hear, and that's maybe something the trade unions can take care of about this minimum employees thing and or these kind of things, and find creative solutions and other policies maybe. Okay, may I ask the second group who will do the short presentation there? Yes, the two of you. That's great.
So we were on a group of transport, and maybe I will just read the points. Joint problems, infrastructure, and mostly in Poland, most money for roads, filetation and privatization of railways, long run worse working conditions, social dumping in road transport, and budget constraints, I think, and joint interest, stop dumping services, but in Poland and Bulgaria, truck drivers relatively well paid, elevate working condition jointly, I think, transport trade union, not split, for example, pilots and train drivers. Want to
Regarding the possible cooperation, we spoke about common projects. For instance, we discussed Crossroad project. This is a project in which my Federation of Transport Trade Unions in Bulgaria, is involved. It started at the beginning of this year, and the purpose of this project is to establish the main problems of the truck drivers and to improve the working conditions of them. And the colleagues suggested that a similar project can be established for another transport sector. Another issue is getting and improving the collective bargaining, and also we think that we have more regional meetings are needed of neighbor trade unions in order to share common programs, best practices, problems, and of course solutions to solve them. That's it in short. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the insights from the transport field. May I ask the third group also to present? That's who will do it? Yeah, great. Another volunteer. Yeah, do it together. Come on. So what's...
One for
What was your topic again? Services, okay. Please.
So common problems, we identify unemployment, untypical work, and the main important common problems is flexibility. In each country we identify that our employer asks us to be more flexible than we are. They they ask us to spend overtime, overtime, not paid overtime. In fact, on our job, we also identify in Romania and Bulgaria. We have big problems with our labor code, which is one of the worst labor code in the Europe.
Yeah, and then we were talking about unemployment, and we said that there was lots of pressure on the people still in work because the unemployment rates are rising at the moment. A problem as well in Austria. The rate is low, but it's rising too, and it's getting a problem. Yeah, to the joint interests. Well, we said win new members. That's something we all need to do, and not losing the old ones at the same time. And then we were like discussing what you can do, what you can offer, so that you don't lose the old members and still can get new ones. How to focus, what to do. But we couldn't like bring it on a very concrete like campaign or something, because I mean we're all from services but from very different jobs in the service sector, so it was not possible to agree on one thing. Yes, and then we said inform potential members is very important, that the low member rates at the unions have to do something with the people not knowing what unions exist for. Yeah, and then possible cooperation through Uni Europe, although we said that it's a problem because just people working for the unions meet there and not the workers themselves mostly. So there is no representation from the people who are really in the work life out there somehow. So it should there should exist other ways to meet. Uni Europe or Uni Global is from the unions of the services of the service sectors. They meet all the service sector unions of Europe together to agree. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much from the services. Yeah. And Sultan wants to add
about the part of unemployment. We have also in Austria the problem with the black number and from the statistic. So we have a rate in the statistic, but some people are in a form of school to learn another job, and so they aren't in the statistic, because there are only these people who are at home are in the statistic, and we have a little bit more than the statistic says.
Okay, thank you for this addition also, and thanks for this from the services. I think it's again a call for better cooperation and better European networking also between people coming from the workplace and not only staff of unions. Okay, may I ask the fourth group to present? Yes, please.
Hello, our group International. So joint interests, good practices. You see, we can communication and joint influence to European Union. So communication is between our countries. It's a little mistake. This part is possible cooperation. And this was the
joint interest.
Okay.
This one and this, the possible
I made a little bit
cooperation.
mistake. So you will help to me, okay? Same taxes in different countries of European Union. That the average we concreted that for minimum salary. Why we do not concrete of average salary? It would be better, I think. And fixed job. So you, Harold, can explain.
I mean, we mean fixed jobs as fixed employment, not in time work, not in other kind of work. So everybody knows what he can earn this month, this year, and can check their life for a longer time.
And to let for young people to grow for career in the jobs. Because we have to wait. We are growing up in our jobs. We're learning a lot, and in some ways we know much more information getting from other countries how to do job in the right thing. So we must wait.
We can take this part now. Let it.
Possible
we take possible cooperation
yes.
now, and we turn. It was good practice for all. Our job now is good practice. So we teach and learn from each other, and this joint influence to EU is meaning there's a right when you collect 1 million signs, you can take influence to the EU, and so we should use our network to make strong influence for employees in Europe. I think it's the only way we can really good work together now. And these are the
joint problems.
Joint problems now.
It's illegal work in all countries. I think it's the most important thing that there is in all countries except Austria, I think. And the small trade unions, we discussed that there are some unions who are very small because of immigration and less professional workers.
In Austria, the problem is that the strong unions lose members in the industries. Depends on flexibility and other things, and also factories go abroad, and so we lose a lot of members.
And the last possible cooperations, we decided that government are working for the interest of big manufacturers, the banks, and so on. It's a very big problem.
And if I remember, you mean, and I think you are not, you are right, that the problem for us is too that alcohol is too cheap in our countries. So we
decided that it must be the government must decide, because the government lets that alcohol is very cheap. It's the better way to control. Yes, it's the easiest way.
To keep the people silent.
Yes.
Problems drink with drink down with alcohol, and people are silent. And it's a problem. It's right. I think too.
Thank you.
Hello. Okay, thank you very much for these insights from the production and industry sector. Especially, I want to highlight the point where you said that, especially in industry production sector, you have the problem that production is shifted to other countries. We will have the honor to receive guests in May in all our countries from one of the countries where all this production ends up, which is Bangladesh, especially for garments, where this production of garments and textiles ends up after it has been relocated from, I don't know, we had a textile and garment industry in Austria. As Gabi said yesterday, she was actually working as a sewer before she get organized in the union, and now there is nearly no garment industry left in Austria. There is some still in Romania, Bulgaria, and the rest of Central and Eastern Europe. But a lot of the whole garment industry already shifted to Bangladesh. So we will have these speakers in May coming over from Bangladesh and telling us what is the situation there where all this production or some of this production goes actually. And maybe also we can establish together with them possibilities for cooperation to somehow stop this race to the bottom where it's always about lower standards, lower wages, and so on. Okay, then I would like to ask fifth group for the presentation.
All right. Our group represented the public sector. First of all, we have to think it over how various this public sector actually is in our country and worldwide as well. So we had a good discussion, and we found some problems we all have to face. And the main problem for the workers in the public sector, as the unions too, is the situation and difficulties of young people on the labor market. The other obstacle we have to face right now is the outsourcing progress in the public sector. And even in our countries, it's quite hard to get a job in the public sector, because sometimes it's the young people, especially, they can't jump in this sector, and it's very hard. And that's also a thing we have to mention to convince young people to joining unions, joining NGOs, and follow our way to a better world. The other thing is that we have to recognize that the people in the public sector, they do more work right now than in the past, but for the same income. You see, they have to be more flexible. We have part-time workers and things like that, but we have to face that the salary is the same, but we have to do more and be more flexible. It's also a problem for the elder people in this sector. Also, we have the situation that we think that not enough women are in the public sector, and the income of the women in the public sector often is not as good as the men. Joint interests. We want to stop the outsourcing progress and raise the conditions of young people in the public sector, and also the working places and career plans. We have to think it over to get a better possibility, to give an idea also to the young people and the older people to say, okay, how are we going to, what's the plan for our life, and not have the situation that one day I'm entering a company, the next day they fire me, or there's no chance to get in a higher position. Also a thing we have all mentioned that is a problem for us. About possible cooperation, I think it's important to exchange, to make a change our context, find a way to share best practice models and experiences. We find ways to have programs including young people. That's also important, even in Austria, that especially for the unions, it's very hard to convince young people to join in the union and take responsibility in the unions, especially. We have a very nice discussion about the gender thing, and I get in love with the situation or the way they deal with this in South America. I think maybe we think it over in Austria. Maybe we do it too much academically, and it's more discrimination problem than also talk about gender and academically how we solve such problems. When women are discriminated, it's against the law. I knew this already, but I get convinced again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these insights in the public sector group and what they discussed. May I ask, last but not least, the sixth group?
So, my name is Dimitar and I'm from city of Bulgaria. I would like to present to you our group work in group number 6. In the beginning, in our common work, we have one technical problems. The 4 guys is missing. And now we're still waiting the 2 guys from Romania and 2 guys from Poland. So, where is our common problems? I'm speaking about the name of the Bulgarian Confederation and about the Brazilian Confederation. We are seeing the common problems in the decreasing trade union members. Our common problems maybe is related with youth unemployment in our 2 countries. And the third place, maybe the low salaries and working conditions. When you see our common interest, you see that we have the good relation between our problems and interests. That including the first time the social security and solidarity, the second time collective bargaining, the third place is modernization of trade union, including actions, thoughts, communication methods, opening the trade unions for young people, maybe from school campaign, better standards for workers. But when we're talking about the standards, we're talking that we think the standards about the working and living standards. The possible cooperation, you see the relations between our common interest and cooperation. The cooperation we seeing the first time of the sharing of the good practices, the second time the project like this, decent work for decent life. And the third place is exchange program between trade unions is for me it's very crazy for the idea, but I believe in the future of this idea. On the last place, maybe the common campaign, maybe the global campaign, trade union for school, and etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The global campaigning, that brings us back to the first group, the NGO group, that can be also done together as we also do it in this project, where we have solidarity campaigns where NGOs and trade unions take up certain topics and campaign on them together. Are there any remarks from your side? You have heard all the 6 presentations now. Are there anything you want to still add, or any ideas that came to your mind when you heard the presentations? Any connections that happened in your mind? Any possible cooperations you heard where you want to continue on? Anything that might come still to your mind and you want to share with the group?
Put all hands down. I can't see the hands arise.
I'm sure there are some people who want to still share something. Any questions to one of the groups? Okay, enough talk in the groups. That's fine. That's fine too. We will leave the group reports as they are. The possible cooperations we can still keep on working, thinking. We will also have a documentation of the conference that you will of course get. And we are not stopping here, but we are just about to enter a new phase of the conference, which is a more interactive phase where we move more than from one conference room to the other. And this will be tomorrow with the factory visits and also with the afternoon program, where you can continue the discussions on the possible cooperations between each other and also between the groups. The last point before the dinner is the factory visit preparation. Maybe Gudrun, you can present shortly the 4 possibilities for the factory visits, and then people can maybe ask questions if they like and decide where they want to go.
For the first factory, it's Hoffmann, Elektrokohle. There are still missing Austrian and Romanian participants.
We produced carbon brushes for automotive and sliding strips for locomotives. You get the current from the wire down to the locomotive, and we are a very jetzt fällt mir das Wort nicht ein. Wir sind, nein, ich weiß nicht mal auf Deutsch, we produced for the automotive industry really in the whole world. To Brazil, to India, we are a global player and Weltmarktführer. Was heißt das? Weltmarktführer? Leader. World trade leader in those things. They are very small and seems to be very easy to produce because it's very difficult to produce these things. And so we have a lot of automatic machines, and I think it would be very interesting for you to visit my factory.
We need 2 more Austrians and 3 Romanians for this group, please. Na, jetzt hat die so gesagt. Du, ja, die Eva. Eva muss da beschauen. Ja. The second factory is Gmundner Keramik, the handcraft for ceramic products, for pottery, and it's a very traditional factory since 1492, and I think it's a real Austrian tradition, and there are modern designs and older designs. I think it's very nice. There are also the Romanians are missing. Where are the Romanians? Please come and choose one. The was Austrians? The third is Salinen, Austria. It's the salt production. In Upper Austria there is much stone, a lot of stone salt mines. And the Salinen Austria, they produce salt for foodstuff, for winter services, for pharmaceutical industry, and for animal feed. Also the Romanians, please come. Okay. And the last one is Solvay. It's the chemistry factory, and it's producing calcium carbonate. It's an industrial product which is used for production of paper, of plastic, of paints, and also pharmaceutical and food industry. Yeah. Yes, it's Tyrol. It's unfortunately too far away. We will go by bus tomorrow. We will meet at 9 o'clock at the parking place. There is a big bus for the three groups from Gmundner, Salinen, and Solvay. They go together because it's the same direction. And the group of Hoffmann, they go by the small Polish bus and one car. And from our team, there is in each group someone of our team. Hoffmann is Eva, Gmundner Keramik Susi, Salinen Stefan, and Solvay me. Please come to the right group. And afterwards we will go to the sightseeing, and you will get something to drink and a little chocolate. You will get it after the lunch. We will take it with the bus and then you get it. Okay.
And the lunch itself will be in the companies?
Yes.
Yes, in the canteens. More or less, okay. And also the dinner will be out tomorrow. The dinner will be in a traditional kind of restaurant.
Trade union restaurant.
Yeah, and we are invited by the Chamber of Labor, if I'm correct.
To lunch, to dinner, yes.
Yes.
And we will come back at, I think, at 8. We are away the whole day.
Okay. So that's the program for tomorrow, the trips. And tomorrow evening is already our farewell party together with Lithuanian and Brazilian evening. Before that, today we have the Polish and Bulgarian evening. So you will get organized with the tables in the corners again, with the specialities, and also whatever program you might have planned and thought of.
And please don't forget long clothes, because maybe it's cold near the lake, and we need good shoes for the walk, because it's in the mountain and you need good shoes, please.
But we are not going for a hike, that's clear, but high heels would be not the best thing to do.
Okay.
Okay. If that's all for the announcements, we would, yeah. People who don't stay for breakfast on Friday.
Yeah, there are 2 possibilities. On Friday, normally the breakfast is from 8 to 9. If someone wants breakfast earlier, I can check it from 7. Please give me a list if someone wants breakfast earlier. And if someone don't want breakfast and instead a lunch packet, also please tell me. I need a list from each country if there are any
changes.
changes.
If people just stay for breakfast, we don't need a list for that. Okay. Okay. So the rest of the day will be dinner at 6, and at 7:30 we meet for the national evening of Bulgarian and Polish group. For the end of this session, I really want to thank you for your attention the whole day, for the great work you did in the working groups, and for the networking you're doing all the time during the longer breaks, which is also great because a lot of the networking happens informally, which is the coolest networking that happens mostly. So, regarding the networking, I would like to ask you, everyone who goes tomorrow to Hoffmann Elektrokohle, to the electrical coal production thing, that they meet in this corner of the room. Everyone goes here, Hoffmann Elektrokohle, electrical coal. Gmundner Keramik, everyone to this corner of the room. Saline, the salt, to this corner of the room. And the Solvay to that corner of the room. Can you please go into the corners? Okay. Okay, there are some things still not clear, so get organized. Okay, okay, thank you. That's great. Hello, so is everyone in the right corner for the right factory visits for tomorrow? Okay. Some are still unclear, but they will find their way for sure. Tomorrow during the factory visit, it will not just be looking at things, it will also be talking to the Works Council of the factory. So please think in your group. You now know your group. You can go together to dinner. Please think in your group about what interests you about this factory, about the production, how it works, and also think about what questions you might have to the Works Council of the factory that you want to ask tomorrow. Huh? You can think about the questions starting from now, whenever you like. You can sit down and do it now, or go for dinner and do it there, or whatever you like. You see the other members of your group, and you can do it informally or formally as you may wish. The only important point is that you have questions tomorrow for the factory visit, because I think it's much more interesting to do the visit when you know what you still need to know and find out as a group also. Okay, thank you very much for your attention and for your work today. Continue the work in the groups and at the dinner also, and be back for the national evening at 7:30.